We are officially open. Change at Work, a completely virtual conference that we had, I think, nine business days to put together.
Yep.
With 30 speakers, I believe, or at least 30 speaker sessions. Incredibly excited. Like I said before, stoked, even though no one should say that word ever again, to have you all and to be here.
We had 3,500 plus signups, and it looks like almost 400 of you have called in now.
Yeah,
that's incredible, and really, really an honor to have you all involved in this.
Yeah, and we figure people will sort of come in and out through the day. We'll talk about the logistics of the day in a second too. For different sections that they're interested in, and that makes total sense as well. Let's do some quick intros, Lucy.
So I'm Lucy. I'm the co-founder and CEO of NOBL. I think Bud will get a little bit more into who NOBL is, but we're an organizational design firm. And this is Bud, my co-founder and chief strategy officer. We are going to be more than talking heads today, but this was our little talking heads segment. So I just wanted to introduce ourselves.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of friends and fans and even some family on the line, but there are also some folks who are like, what is this odd thing? So wanted to like just throw that out there. And we're going to talk just a little bit about us in a minute. I promise no sales pitches today. This is not a time in the world where people want to be sold at. I just want to ground you in why we chose some of the participants and attendees that we chose, and sort of why we crafted the day the way that we did. But Lucy, why don't you lead us through how we start every meeting?
So NOBL has a ritual called a check-in. Some of you probably have done this in your own organizations, or maybe have worked with us and have seen us do this. It's literally a how are you doing? We do this for 4 reasons. One is to cognitively offload. So literally to talk about what is on your mind allows you to kind of put it aside and hopefully be more focused and more present in the room. The second reason is psychological safety. I think probably some of you are familiar with Google's Project Aristotle. Extensive study. What it found was that the most effective teams, the thing they had in common was psychological safety. What that means is a belief that you can speak up, show up, share ideas, make mistakes without concern for being humiliated or being punished. The third one, and this one's my favorite, is it primes contribution. So healthy meetings in our minds encourage equality of voices. And if you speak up in the first 10 minutes, you're more likely to speak up later. And this also just broadly sets the expectation from the outset of the meeting that every voice will be heard in this meeting. And the fourth one is anticipating miscommunication. So taking time to hear what's going on for others allows us to start from a place of empathy and avoid some misinterpretation. For example, if Kat says she's exhausted from a late night up with a baby, you'll know that might be why she's a little bit more reserved than normal. And then the last one, which we haven't included on this, is to save time. So I'm sure many of you are in lots of meetings where a big bulk of the first part of the meeting is taken up with small talk or chit chat, and that does have a role, but this kind of replaces that while still serving the same purpose with a bit of structure and constrains that so that you can get right into the bulk of the meeting. So we wanted to start with a check-in round because that is 100% in our ritual kit. Now with this group, it's too large to do a more substantive check-in. So what we're going to ask you all to do is open your chat, and a lot of you are already using it, which is great. And just put a sentence or two about how you're doing and where you're tuning in from. Where are you today? So I'll do mine first, and then I'll let Bud go. I am really grappling with how surreal the times we're living in are. My toddler just left to go on a little outdoor adventure, so she might come in at some point and interrupt this. We'll get into a little bit about that if life happens. And I'm just so thrilled and so humbled that all of you have tuned in. And I'm calling in from Brooklyn, New York. And I'm already seeing some of you rolling in. Thank you for checking in. And Bud, what's your check-in today?
What's my check-in? It's early. It's early here. I woke up this morning and the house smelled of gas, and it turns out one of the burners was left like on but not lit overnight. So I survived. We're all alive here, which is great. And then my check-in, in addition to that, is a bit of a slide, which is, the weight that I'm feeling walking into today, it's just sort of, we find ourselves at this moment of a very uncertain world. And I will be honest with everyone here that I woke up, especially yesterday, with kind of a deep pit of despair in my stomach for what was going on in the world and what it means, and what it means for friends and family, but also what it means for peers who own businesses and people who are in jobs that might be challenged. And what got me out of bed was doing this thing that we're doing today, this conference, and seeing the rest of the team hard at work, knowing that they were relying on me, but knowing that I have a project. I'm a project person, that's what keeps me sane. So I'm coming into today with a deep respect for people who are showing up at this time, and an understanding that all of us are showing up with like dread and like fear and worry, but also hope in a lot of ways as well. But I'm so incredibly grateful to have this for us as NOBL, and to bring together a group of people. So I'm coming in with a lot of gratitude.
And I'm seeing a lot that aligns with that, but I'm seeing a lot about working from home with kids and how tough that will be. We have a whole session on caregiving during uncertain times and caregiving while remote. I see a lot about the challenges of working from home, the challenges of staying focused, being with family, a lot of obviously different locations calling in, a lot that are eager to be inspired by how we're all kind of broadly societally responding to this time. Tired, frustrated. We hear you completely.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for these check-ins. This is exactly what we were hoping for, and we really appreciate you all doing this. It's amazing to see this.
Yeah, thank you for the candor. Okay, so quickly I want to talk about how this whole odd virtual conference happened. I want to be really quick with that because we have some great speakers coming up. About almost exactly 2 weeks ago, when we heard South by Southwest was canceled, which is like one of our favorite events. I'm a former Austinite, went to college at UT, have lived in Austin over the years. Just had an understanding with all these conferences being canceled that there's an opportunity and just a hunger for people to come together and get inspired and to meet each other. And sort of like I often do, if you follow me on the internet, I trial balloon a lot of odd ideas, and this one kind of stuck. And then I socialized it with some of the team, especially Paula Sizik on the team, who, if you've read anything ever NOBL published, Paula has had her hands on it, and she's probably written it or edited it to make it actually sound coherent. And then, we rallied the team around it, and the team was excited. I think there's one really interesting thing about our culture is that we study cultures. And we kind of have these dual modes at NOBL and culture. If you've read any of our articles on culture market fit, you'll know that we strongly believe ourselves to be an elephant herd, which means that we value individual relationships and how we get along above everything else, except for tools and content that we feel can be of immediate service. And we kind of flip into a different culture, which is bird flock, which is all about agility. So how can we get this quickly done? And that's when we started spinning up daily scrums. That's when Kristen on our team, who's a superhero, just jumped in and took the reins on this thing and created a lot of order and clarity. And you'll hear from her very soon, but everyone should get to know her. She's incredible, like everyone on the team. But Kristen, thank you so much for that. And we somehow pulled this off. And we're at the very beginning, so I'm going to knock on my wood desk and we'll push on. Anything to add on that, Lucy?
Yeah, I mean, I think bottom line, we're a change management and transformation organizational design company, not an event production company. This was an experiment and a new muscle. It's been honestly a really welcome distraction. It's been fun, but it's also been filled with learnings. And I second the massive kudos and thank you to Kristen, who really pulled this together in a major way with, a lot of hands on deck. But yeah, change and adapting is in our DNA, which has helped. But this was all very new for us especially to pull this off in such a short time.
Yeah. And I just, I quickly want to say, we felt called to service. The name of the company is NOBL. Lots of people call us Noble. And I'm totally fine with that. One, because it was a bit by design. I was once having a conversation with Jonathan Hayes at American Express about the purpose of American Express. And we kept trying to he kept saying it's noble to serve. And it's like, oh, who would say that? Everyone says that. And then he was like, no, my father raised me to believe that it's noble to serve other people. And this just felt like a moment to serve people, especially because like our central question that we exist to answer is how do we help people through true transformations? And what a transformational time we're in. And I just hope that we can be of service today. That's sort of my highest goal for what we're trying to accomplish. If you don't know anything about us, this is like the last, sort of about us slide. But as Lucy said, that we're an org design and transformation agency. I like to say that we sit at the intersection of strategy and culture. We do a lot of organizational design, trying to understand like how to win in the market and how to make that match how you work together. And that could be like rapidly scaling companies, Fortune 100s. It can also be through M&As. There's lots of times when you need to reassess the organization and make sure that there's a coherent decision-making structure about why you've decided your structure, why you've decided your systems. We help people through a lot of change and transformation, and we do it in a very nimble and more iterative and human way, I think. There's a lot of positive psychology built into our practice. In the last year, we've been obsessed with resilient leadership because I think the times just demand it. And we'll talk a lot about that in the afternoon, or have a lot of speakers who are very smart talk about that in the afternoon. And then new ways of working. I mean, we're always obsessed with how high-performing teams get their work done. And from day one, if you've been following us, you know that like we interview high-performing teams all the time to try to understand how they make work in a completely different era. So we're huge geeks there.
That's all you're going to hear about in terms of what NOBL does. So if you wanted to learn more, please go on our site. We felt really strongly about not making this in any way commercial or salesy. So that's it from us on that piece of it. But please go deeper on what we do. Yeah.
And then just a quick overview of the day. First off, like your home base for everything from the day is changeatwork.nobel.io. It'll have an agenda there. Different sessions may have different Zoom links, so you should keep your eye on if you're in the right Zoom room or not. But essentially, we've got 3 content sections. We're about to kick off Leading in Uncertainty. We're going to have some great speakers there. We're going to have a break with some break rooms and some networking opportunities. Everything, though, from like get to know each other to do meditation or yoga and go deeper with one of the speakers. We'll talk remote work kind of in the middle of our content. I can't say day because we're all over the globe. We'll have another break, and then we'll finish the day talking about resilience. And we have some really incredible speakers there. And then we're kind of offering a virtual happy hour at the end of the day, and we're going to have breakout rooms for each of the content areas, so that if you want to go deeper, if you want to have a conversation about leading in uncertainty or remote work or resilience, that will be the opportunity to go deeper with your fellow attendees. Just some light housekeeping as we get started, and I may have to come back to this a couple times today. Again, follow the schedule at changeatwork.nobel.io. It's where you signed up. Remember that Zoom links will change. So like this is the main room, but we're going to have breakouts. We're going to have some panels and things like that. So keep an eye, and we'll tell you when to jump through, but the links are all on that site. There will be rapid Q&As. We've kind of stacked the day in sort of like TED Talk style fashion, and sort of like shorter talks, a little bit of Q&A, but we want to keep the day moving because we want to create some energy and momentum. And we wanted to include a lot of voices and a wide range of voices. And yes, we are recording everything. I have no idea when we'll publish those things, hopefully quickly. But again, to Lucy's point, we're not an events company. We're going to move very quickly, but everything is being recorded. And please, please, please share on social to bring more people into the conversation if you feel like it's a worthwhile conversation. Use the hashtag changeatworkconf, CONF, to share on social, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. And we have some prizes to give away, just a few to some of our favorite shares. So please, please, please share. People you're going to meet today, they have faces. You've got myself and Lucy. You're going to meet Jane, who's our LA managing director. You're going to meet Sarah, who runs with her partner Vancouver, Aaron Cooper. Kristen, again, I said, is our superhero. And we brought in, Hans, who runs a conference called Innovators, who really helped us bring all of this together technically. And Hans has been sort of a steady hand at the wheel while we are like, what? Technology? So it's great. Yeah, go ahead, Lucy.
Yeah, so this one a bit speaks for itself, but we're going to be quite rigorous with ensuring a healthy culture. This is a tough time, so we are going to be tough on this piece of it. Part of developing this conference and really all of our engagements when we work is thinking about and articulating the culture we want to see. If you want to go deeper on some of this, go to our Change at Work site and you'll see we have a whole kind of code of conduct. That applies to the chats, that applies to the Q&A, that applies to speakers, that applies to us. We take this pretty seriously.
Yeah. One thing I just want to say is if you hear something that you like, just add +1 to the chat just so we can start to see that. Also, social experiment. If I touch my face, could you please type #NotTheFace? I'm trying to not touch my face as much. I think it's really important to say that life happens. One, we are navigating like a complex technical back end, and we're going to be thrown around the football from each other. So there may be moments where there's like pauses in that. I also have a 55-pound Belgian Shepherd in the other room with anxiety disorder who will bust in this room at some point today. Lucy, you have a young one as well.
Yeah, we completely get that. Speakers, Q&A, and stepping in and out. We get that. And this is kind of our way. One of our speakers said this, and you'll hear more about this today, but it's okay to not be okay. We just really want to show up for what's here. That includes the gamut of emotions that are coming with these times, but also the obvious just life interruptions of the fact that we're all working from home with multiple members of our families, pets, kids, etc. In the mix.
Yeah. And just before we get started with the first topic, I just want to invite everyone, including myself, to breathe with the donut for a second.